on Sky News Business. This is Business Class.
Hi, I'm James Wilkinson and welcome to Business Class. Today's show is coming to you from the spiritual heart of Australia, Uluru. But before we showcase everything this amazing destination has to offer, let's get this week's latest travel news. In travel news this week, the Star Entertainment Group has opened its new Darling Hotel on the Gold Coast in time for the Commonwealth Games. The Darling is now open for Gold Coast 2018 Commonwealth Games representatives and stakeholders ahead of welcoming its first public guests in mid-April. The new hotel forms the centrepiece of the Star Gold Coast expansive transformation and features 57 suites ranging in size from 70 square metres to a huge 328 square metres. Guests will also be able to enjoy the views of the coast from a luxury infinity pool alongside a rooftop restaurant and bar called 19, which my co-host Necia Wilden will tell you all about later in today's show. The first internationally branded 5-star hotel to open in Brisbane City in 20 years, the opening of W Brisbane will mark the re-entry of the hip W brand into Australia. W Brisbane will offer 312 stylish guest rooms, including 29 suites, alongside a Brisbane outpost of Byron-based popular 3 Blue Ducks. Also find a spa and a swimming pool. Across the river from W Brisbane, Emporium Hotel South Bank will feature 143 luxuriously appointed suites over 21 levels, as well as a rooftop bar and 23-metre infinity edge pool with views to Brisbane CBD and beyond. On to aviation news, and British Airways has revealed its enhanced Club World business class offering will soon be available between London Heathrow, Singapore and Sydney. Coming this autumn, a new sleeper service featuring bespoke bedding and amenity kits from luxury lifestyle brand The White Company will debut on the route. While later in the year, a new restaurant-style premium dining service will begin in Club World, headlined by new meals, glassware and tableware. Air New Zealand has revealed it will launch direct flights to Chicago with a new non-stop service from Auckland starting in November this year. From November 30, Air New Zealand will operate the new route 3 times a week using its new Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. The flight time will be approximately 15 hours northbound and just over 16 hours on the way back. Rapidly growing Middle Eastern airline Qatar Airways has inaugurated flights to Thessaloniki in Greece. The 4 times per week service from Doha is operated by an Airbus A320 that features flatbed seats in business class. For all the latest on that new route, catch our special edition of Business Class on location from Thessaloniki next week. In the aviation world, American Airlines continue to be one of the biggest movers and shakers on the planet. Under the direction of CEO Doug Parker, the airline's undergone a massive transformation. We caught up with him at the headquarters in Dallas to find out more. There's a lot happening with the new American, isn't there? This transition, it just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're excited about it. You know, we emerged from bankruptcy. American did a few years ago through a merger with U.S. Airways, and we've just been working to invest as much as we can to improve the product. I remember actually one of the first things we did was make a trip down to Sydney to prove to the customers there that we really have changed this airline, because it's much different than people remember from American from when it last flew to Australia, and also a product that I know our partners like Qantas would have liked to have seen at a higher level, and now are really excited about what we've done at American.
You've now launched premium economy. Yeah. A lot of airlines around the world are having a lot of success with that cabin, particularly on long-haul flights. Now, this is going to be through your long-haul or through your wide-body network by the end of next year. That's a pretty fast rollout of a brand new product for America.
Yeah, it is. One we've been working on for a while, but yeah, it's a pretty quick rollout, but one we're excited about and that we know that our customers want. So we're moving as quickly as we can to get it out across the system. We think that premium economy product there's a real sweet spot there for a lot of our customers who are willing to pay more than the product they get in the main cabin, but can't get aren't interested in buying all the way up to business, but allows them something in between, which is a really, really nice level of service, just not quite to business, but better than the main cabin.
Well, we're seeing more companies around the world now putting policies in place where staff can't travel in business unless it's over 8-hour flights. So premium is a sweet spot for corporates, and corporates is a huge market for you, isn't it?
Oh, it's enormous, and we're focused on doing even more of it. We, of course, given our size and scale, we pretty much cater to all types of customers, but we certainly know that where we can do the best and what we're best at is serving premium travelers, corporate travelers. We have a network that works well for corporate travelers, and we need to have a product on board that meets their needs.
And pre-flight restaurant quality dining has been a hallmark of a lot of your One World friends, and British Airways do it well, Qantas and Cathay do it extremely well. You've now rolled this out, JFK's got it now, and tell us about why you've done that. This is not just creating a premium experience. A lot of passengers do want a great meal and get on board and go to sleep, don't they, as well?
That's exactly what it is. And again, look, no one else in the United States has done this. We've learned this from our partners, like Qantas, like BA, and JAL, and what we've seen is, we're in some of those places, we have a joint venture in place with British Airways, and what we saw was customers with the exact same, tough flight times or close to it were choosing British Airways over American, simply because of things like that product. So it's important to our customers, so we're going to make sure we serve it. And we're really excited about it. It's, again, we're going to be the first in the United States with this level of product. It is much like what our international customers are used to seeing at premium levels, but nothing like anyone's ever seen in the United States. And
interestingly today, during a lot of the questions, not a lot of people talked about with your basic economy product, the competition you're getting from low-cost airlines across the Atlantic as well. Is this a product that you do want to look at outside the US at some point?
I mean, we'll see. It certainly is one that's important inside the United States. Again, and unclear as to whether it makes sense transatlantic. It certainly is a really nice way to compete against a bare bones product, because what we do is provide something much better than that at the same fare level, but we also provide levels of service above that. So it's a nice competitive tool. We haven't seen the need yet to deploy it outside the United States, but if competitive forces lead that way, we're certainly ready to.
Now you're leading the future of travel in the US. You've got brand new aircraft, brand new products. What's next? Are you hoping someone creates a supersonic aircraft? We're seeing electric jets being proposed in Europe now. Where do you see the future of travel for American?
Yeah, look, what we know is anything that makes the world smaller is good for airlines. And as the world gets smaller and smaller, we get excited about that. So right now we're excited about what we can see. What we know is our airline is much better for the customer than it was 3 years ago, and it's going to be a lot better 3 years from now, just because what we have in place, what we have in mind. To the extent the future has more in store for us, we're prepared and excited about being able to capitalize on it.
And you've had a lot of aircraft delivered in the last few years, and you've retired a lot of aircraft. And I think I like to look at the analogy of flying on a Super 80 versus flying on an A319, which is the future of how you guys do it.
Right.
It's come a long way, even in just a few short years, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, when we did the merger, our fleet age was, I think, 14 years old. Now it's 3 years later, and the fleet age is under 10 years old. So time is passing, but our fleet's getting younger. That only happens by retiring older aircraft and bringing a lot of new airplanes. It's been the biggest modernization plan in the history of commercial aviation. We're bringing in a new airplane every 4 days, over 80 airplanes a year for each of the last 3 years, and retiring older aircraft. That makes a huge difference in the product. So yeah, we're excited. That's going well. We have some more to come. It starts to slow down at the end of 2018. But again, when you go through a long period of time without being able to be profitable, it's hard to invest. Now that we're investing as much as we can in the product, and it's making a huge difference.
And last but not least, loyalty. It's a huge thing for American Airlines, and the program is growing exponentially, isn't it?
Oh yeah. The Advantage program is the largest in the world, and again, it's something that's important to frequent travelers, so therefore corporate travelers. And as we do a better job of being able to fly to more places and to be flying with a better product, we attract even more and more people into our frequent flyer program, and we think it's a real asset for us.
There's a lot happening in the Australian food scene at present. Let's get the latest from our resident foodie, Necia Wilden.
Thanks, James. And yes, well, who would have thought that the latest hot dining destination would be the glitzy Gold Coast? Yes, and of course, all just in time for the Commonwealth Games. Now, while it's true that the food reputation of the Strip has been building for some time, what's really taking it to the next level is the launch of 19 at the Star. Yes, slightly odd name, so called because it's on the 19th level of the new Darling Hotel, and it's a $20 million rooftop restaurant and bar. But why should foodies be interested in a new venue in a Gold Coast casino complex? Well, that's because the restaurateur at 19 is a bloke called Simon Gloftis. And he just happens to own what is arguably the best Greek restaurant in Australia right now. That's Hellenica, just down the road from the Star at Nobby Beach. He's also brought with him to 19 one of his great chefs, Kelvin Andrews, who used to be at the Fish House. That's another top Gold Coast restaurant. So, what can we expect from the food? Well, I have to say the menu at 19 is a riveting document. Yes, it's not short on casino glitz, as you might expect, but it also has a fair whack of culinary credibility too. Now, if you're a high roller, you'll of course be ordering the caviar. Siberian or Cetra, of course, and that's $900 for 100 grams. But for the rest of us, well, it's probably hard to go past dishes like the rock lobster bolognese, the live marron cooked on the wood fire grill, the Patagonian toothfish also cooked on the wood fire grill, or maybe even the heirloom pumpkin, very on trend. So that's 19 at the Star, but that's not all from Simon Gloftis. He's also just opened another rooftop bar. That's back at home base at Hellenica. Now, while it's a somewhat more modest proposition than 19, it does cap off a $2.5 million renovation at the restaurant. So that's Bar Hellenica, one of many reasons to be on the Gold Coast right now. And James, not all those reasons are to do with sport.
Thanks, Necia. Coming up next on Business Class, it's our Uluru adventure.
You're watching Business Class on Australia's Business Channel. Welcome back to Business Class.
Back here at Uluru, the iconic Sounds of Silence is celebrating its 25th anniversary. But it's just one of the many amazing experiences this place has to offer. It's full of natural and cultural beauty, making Uluru Kata Tjuta National Park one of the few places to have a dual World Heritage listing. The Voyager's Ayers Rock Resort consists of 4 hotels, as well as a campsite and lodge. Built in the 1980s, it's undergone a transformation in recent years under the ownership of Voyager's Indigenous Tourism Australia. It's marketed by Ray Stone, Executive General Manager of Sales, Marketing and Distribution. Ray, it's one of Australia's most popular resorts, isn't it?
It is, and it's really gained popularity in the last 6 or 7 years. We like to feel that we've really brought it back to where it belongs in Australian tourism.
So this restaurant we're in now has been around for about 5 years, and this is a huge change from what this resort was, that people would remember it from 20 years ago. It's incredibly different, isn't it?
Totally, and of course one of the key elements is to incorporate an Aboriginal feel to the decor, being as we're owned by the Indigenous Land Corporation, and but also a more contemporary look, a comfortable look here for people, and they really love the setup here of the kitchen and so forth. Yeah.
And we're talking about one resort, which is obviously Sails in the Desert, but
yeah.
Your company has been renovating all of the resorts up here and all the hotels, so the quality has gone up across the board, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, actually, our owners have invested something over $90 million in the total resort, so quite significant, and it's shown, and people appreciate it, obviously.
When I came here about 7 years ago, I think there was 1 or 2 Indigenous employees. That's changed a lot, hasn't it?
It has. It was one of our key objectives. So right now, with over 800 employees at the resort, we're about 40% are Indigenous. So you're looking at about 340 Indigenous employees here.
Yeah. Amazing achievement, and airlift has also helped you, hasn't it? Getting more airlines in, and Virgin's been a huge thing for you up here as well.
It has. So we have great service now. Virgin is daily out of Sydney, and Qantas Link out of Alice Springs and Cairns, and Jetstar out of Melbourne and also Sydney. So, and I think we have some prospects for expansion of their capacity because they're all performing really well.
Does it help that you're one of the big three things that travellers want to come and do in Australia? They want to go and do the Reef, the Rock and Sydney, don't they?
It does, particularly on that first trip, and you know, it is an icon in Australian tourism, and it has a good deal of visibility and understanding in many parts of our key feeder markets, let alone in Australia itself, of course. I mean, 55% of our guests here are from Australia, and many of them see coming here as really understanding their Australianness, in a sense, you know. Yeah. They feel they're reaching the core of the country here.
And it's not just a holiday destination either, is it?
No, we have business events come up here, for example, and we've got a really nice conference centre, Uluru meeting place, so quite popular. We have breakout space here, and we've had some major blue chip corporations meet here.
So what kind of event can I do here? How big can the event be?
Well, we can take, 420 theatre style in one section of the ballroom and 250 in another. And we've had some major car launches here. You name the brand, and we've had the top car brands here.
And if you look at some of those events that you've done, one of your partners is Accor Hotels. You partnered with them. I came up for one of their franchise conferences a couple of years ago. You had an awards night out outside with Uluru as a backdrop, and that's probably one of the best backdrops I've ever seen, a natural backdrop in the world. Yeah. You can do spectacular events, can't you?
You can, and that backdrop is powerful, and it resonates with people. It adds something really significant to a picture and to an experience. I mean, it is a spiritual place, and there's a lot of talk about that, but more importantly, people feel that when they come here.
Yeah. Ray, thank you so much for having us today.
Absolutely, you're very welcome.
Now let's bring you to that dining experience you'll never forget. While watching the sunset over Uluru in the Australian desert, it feels like a million miles from civilization.
The Sounds of Silence is one of the iconic Australian experiences, and it's really stood the test of time. It's 25 years old tonight, and and it's still incredibly popular with both domestic and international visitors. It is featured heavily in our marketing campaigns, in our social media, and the reason is that people see the Sounds of Silence dinner with Uluru in the background, and they know that it is Australia. They know they're looking at Australia, and so it speaks to one of our icons, but also it depicts a little bit of the Australian way of life. Dining outdoors and having conversation with friends and looking at the stars. So it's a great experience. We love promoting it.
Amazing as Sounds of Silence is, there's an even more premium and intimate dining experience. For 6 months of the year, Taliwiru offers an intimate setting atop a sand dune. In one direction there's Uluru, in the other, Kata Tjuta. Karina Noble from Voyages explains the experience.
You're on top of a dune in the middle of this stunning desert. It's all about being here in the midst of the desert, all around you. As the sun sets, you can hear the whisper of the wind. Just fantastic food, fantastic wine, and really the ambience all around you. It's iconic dining experience under the stars. People come to Taliwiru for that engagement, for that anniversary dinner, for that very special time. It's limited to just 20 people per night, so it's really just that level above and beyond Sounds of Silence. The Taliwiru menu takes dining to that next level of gastronomic experience. It also carries on the bush tucker dining experience that Ayers Rock Resort carries through every restaurant.
It's not just gastronomical, but astronomical as well, as one of the resort's resident stargazers takes you on a journey through time and space, under the Milky Way, as you've never seen it before.
We have the large Magellanic Cloud and the small Magellanic Cloud. Ferdinand Magellan used those in the 1500s when he was navigating around the southern hemisphere. And how he did it was the same as Canopus and Arcana. You draw yourself an equilateral triangle. There's our south celestial pole, and there's our magical south pointing tree again.
After such a magical night, There's no better way to spend the next morning than with a guided tour through Uluru Kata Tjuta National Park. On this trip, Paul Young, a tour guide from AAT Kings, brought us around for an up-close and personal look at the rock and all the surrounds.
Holds a very special place in my heart. So the stories I tell are stories of my own experience, as well as the stories that have been passed on to me by traditional owners of this land, the original custodians, the Yananan. So the tours that we offer are predominantly for Uluru Kata Tjuta, and everything tends to work around sunrise to sunset. So in the mornings we go out and take people out to watch the sunrise, and be it either at Uluru or even at Kata Tjuta. Sunset tours are at both places. Most popular being Uluru, of course, but I guess the hidden gem is Kata Tjuta as well, and a lot of people find that to be quite more interesting.
But to get a sense of the sheer enormity of Uluru, it's best to hop in a chopper and take to the air. Today we're taking a trip with the team from PHS.
Alrighty guys, we're airborne.
Well, that's it from us at Uluru. Thanks for watching and see you next time on Business Class.
You're watching Business Class on Australia's Business Channel.